WACP, the place to be, for we are creative people, and some place to be on a conference call. And we have a very enlightened sister on the line. She is known in our community by the Divine Sister Isis. And we want to introduce her and bring her on because we're going to be talking about a subject that is very, very hot right now in our community. Matter of fact, all over the internet. There was a video put up, and the video discussed the subject, are black men attracted to white women and light-skinned sisters? And there was a lot of discussion about this. So we decided to talk with various people about this online. Our last conversation was from Sister Bernadette, who explained her portion, what she thought about it. And now we have Sister Isis on the line. Sister Isis, can you come in, please?
Greetings, beloved. I'm here.
Yes, greetings. Now, the reason that we're talking with you on this subject, not just because you are enlightened, but because you are known as a light-skinned sister. And we want to find out some things about the nature of a light-skinned sister in relationship to the rest of the world, and find out some of your experiences as you were growing up, things that you experienced and learned about the difference between skin color and all. So can you tell us briefly in an introduction, what was it like growing up being light-skinned, and when did you find out that there was a difference, if you did? Can you tell us about that?
Yes, beloved. I was born into a family, my dad's side of the family, who bloodline started out with British, German, Irish, Indian, black. And I grew up in South Carolina until the age of 11. And I had the opportunity to interact with both my dad and my mother's side of the family. And my dad's side of the family consisted of those who could pass for white. Blue eyes, green eyes, straight hair. And as a child, I didn't know the difference between colors. I was accepted by them, still am accepted by them. And when I entered New York City after age 11, and I started interacting more so with my mother's side than my dad's side, and family members would make comments to me like high yellow, zebra, whitey, and that's when I began to realize that, okay, what are these labels about? And I didn't know that I was really light-skinned until most of our people who discriminated against me, and no other culture did. I didn't realize that I was light-complected until they start labeling me all those different names. And it didn't hurt for them to do that. It was a moment of understanding why they did it and who I am. So it was through our people who labeled me those names that I took a look at who I am, and it was through that exploration that I knew that I was different.
Now, brothers, how did men treat you, and did you notice that there was a difference? Like, for example, dark-skinned men or brothers in particular, did you notice that they had some type of special kind of look or treatment for you?
And definitely, indeed, not only from brothers but from Europeans as well. I have interacted with many brothers, and I've listened to them about why they would like to be with me. For example, my second husband has said to me that I was as close to white as he'll ever get. And then there was another brother that I just dated who told me that his father told him, do not get involved with a dark-complected sister because our black women, our dark-complected sisters, are evil. And these things did not sit well with me at all because you're talking about my sister whose pigmentation is just darker than mine. Now, that's when I really felt an insult. And to me, that was saying they'd rather be with a white woman, but they won't be with one to get one closer to one.
Now let's put a pin on that, and let's discuss this. Like, okay, we all were born, and none of us chose our color. We came out all different shades of colors. So basically, we're having this conversation because somebody along the line have selected one particular shade and promoted it over all the rest of the shades. And the reason that we're talking with you about this is because we believe that you have balanced yourself, although you have been victimized by skin color. So tell us, what is your thoughts on this whole thing about this color? Your experience growing up has affected you in knowing that there was a difference. What would you say to a brother who come to you and say, ooh, I like you because you light skin?
Oh, what would I say to a brother if he came to me because he liked me because I'm light-skinned?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. I would say to him that, hey, what's wrong with my dark-skinned sister? She's my sister. And have him explain why he prefer light skin over dark skin. And I am a protector of my sisters, no matter what color they are.
So you never just gloated in the fact that, oh, I got something that you don't have, or I'm a little better than you, or whatever.
No way at all. I've had sisters that I have known, associates. One particular sister, I've known her for about a year, and it took a year for her to tell me that she did not like me for that whole year because I was light-skinned. I have had males say to me that they would never talk to me, black males, they would never talk to me because I'm light complex. They think light complected females are uppity and that better than dark complected sisters. And I share with them, I says, well, your environment must have taught you that because that is not the situation. I do everything I can to help us all as black people, period. It doesn't matter whether our skins are different. I'm just about the oneness of us all. I wanted to share something else, too, before I go on. My first Irish boyfriend, and that's all he was, is a boyfriend. We've never engaged in anything else. And I was about 13 years old in Brooklyn, New York. His name is Ray. I'll never forget his name. And he, when he came to visit me at my aunt's house, and we would go down the street to a store, he would try to grab my hand and walk with me on the street, and I would pull my hand away from him or try to distance myself from him. And he made a comment. He says, what's wrong with you? You're ashamed to be with me? Remind you now, he's white, Irish.
Mm-hmm.
And these are just learning experiences I've shared with all nationalities. But to the brothers, you know, it's important that you know yourself as soul, as divine soul. Forget about the pigmentation. It's the mind thoughts of the person and their conduct, behavior, and action. It's about the mind of the person, that really should attract you or not attract you to someone.
Hmm. So this thing about preference, let's look at where this preference thing come from. I mean, what makes a black man or dark-skinned black man desire or want a light-skinned sister or a white woman over his naturally innate dark-skinned sister? What brings that? What makes that to happen?
That goes back to enslavement, and especially the Willie Lynch syndrome that is still alive today. It's about the programming and conditioning. It's just like, for example, using a natural illustration, if a person is used to eating and love watermelon and it's taken away from them, or anything that they love is taken away from them or forbidden for them, for them to have it, and once they get it again, they just go all out. It's like that statement, the forbidden fruit. And when it comes to the white woman, that was forbidden for a black man to even look at her.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But she could do all kinds of things to him, but he couldn't do all kinds of things to her. So she was like a forbidden fruit.
So vice versa, that would also go to reason that white women are attracted to black men.
Yes. What was forbidden for them, the same as for black men, yes. Their curiosity.
Now, I heard in a video of this same subject, and they were talking about the fact that light-skinned men don't necessarily have this problem. Light-skinned black men don't have the same problem that dark-skinned black men have, where they feel the need to have a light-skinned sister or a black or a white woman, and that the light-skinned brother usually prefers the dark-skinned sister. I mean, so what's going on? What is and what is your preference?
My preference is I do prefer my black brothers. Okay, period.
Now, when you say black, you mean?
You mean in pigmentation, if he's light complected or brown or medium, whatever.
Okay.
If he's black, if his mind is black.
Okay.
Okay. I have no preference to the pigmentation of our black brothers.
Okay.
As long as he got a true black, free critical thinking mindset, he's a lien holder of his own conscience, he's not a conformist to evil concepts and ideas. I consider myself a mind therapist. Mm-hmm. I deal with you based on your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to go back to my grandmother. Earlier on in the interview, I mentioned how the bloodlines that ran through her.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when she was on the plantation, my grandmother was given her own buggy. Because of how she looks, her own buggy. The buggy days.
Yes.
She was treated royal.
It's like a Cadillac.
Yes. Okay. But my grandmother she had 10 children, 7 boys and 3 girls, and she told all her children not to marry dark black people. Now, I pondered on that for years, and even though she didn't give an explanation, I haven't heard an explanation as to why, because she married my grandfather, who's directly from Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all 7 of her sons married the darkest women they could find.
Mm-hmm.
And all my aunts, the 3 aunts, they married the darkest men they could find. You see, so she's telling them not to do something, and they rebelled against it, and did the opposite of what she said not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to this day, I have no idea why my grandmother said that. Maybe to prevent being ostracized, because remember how my dad's side of the family looked now, okay? They could pass for white or any other nationality other than black. So maybe she said that because she didn't want them to experience something.
Now, grant you, the world basically has promoted for a number of hundreds of years, have promoted light skin and white over dark skin and brown skin. And to this very day, the wars that are going on around the world, where they're dropping bombs, killing people, basically those people are dark, brown-skinned people. And then television plays a great part. When you constantly seeing the same images over and over, oh, my hair is so long, so silky, so soft, I'm the woman of the world, people tend to follow that and want to be that and want to have that. So do you contribute that? And what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, gosh, yes. All that you mentioned is part of the problem. After a while, when something is constant, consistent, continually, I call that the 3 C's, over a period of time, there's brainwashing. And then you also have the opposite that's shown to people, how ugly something is, and then they compare it to how society thinks beauty is, okay? And when the younger the better, the people in Hollywood have really helped damage the young minds of both young males and females by, your Beyonce, your Rihanna's, and more. That's European concept and idea of what beauty is. Artificiality is the European concept of what beauty is. The more artificial you are, the prettier you are. So, yes, Hollywood has done a lot of damage to many. Get their minds while they're young, and then this cycle can continue.
Now we also had in our discussion dark-skinned sisters, who admitted to us that that white men are more attracted to them than the black man.
It's very true. Very, very, very true. My experience in life has proven that to be so very true. Please don't let me forget this, and I got to go back to what you were talking about. I have a granddaughter in Texas. She's only 6 years old, and her half-sisters or whatever, they're dark-complected. And she told her sister, my other granddaughter, who's 19, that she hates black people because one of her dark-complected sisters did something to her. And she said now she hates black people. So my granddaughter, the 19-year-old, her sister, told me the other day, she said, my 6-year-old said to her, well, I got to make friends with white people because if I'm going to make it in this world. This is coming from a 6-year-old.
Wow.
Okay? And this 6-year-old is like, oh, my gosh, she's like, everything that comes out of her mouth is so profound. And that coming from a 6-year-old need to be listened to because there's a generation, her generation could very well be already destroyed based on her mind thoughts. For example, many years ago, my other granddaughter, who's dark-complected, she told her mother, my daughter, says, I want to go visit my Nana. So my daughter asked, well, which Nana? She said, the white one. And this granddaughter here that I'm speaking about now she even told my granddaughter, her sister, that she wanted to see her white grandmother, meaning me.
Mm.
And so what I did was I sent her a link to the video Black Like Me, I think it was.
Yes.
I said, this must be shown to her immediately because my daughter is not doing anything to get her to see it, but my granddaughter can help her more than my daughter. Now, going back to what you were saying, there's a dichotomy about light-skinned people, male and female.
Mm-hmm.
Doors are not really closed to us in the European environment. They have a way of trusting us and elevating us from my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I have never had a problem with any other race except my own people, and who I try to help, you see. So we never know where our help comes from.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could be a light-skinned person, black light-skinned person who's out there advocating for our divine solutions. But it's the same people we're advocating for are who are hurting us, all because of our skin. I remember working for the government years ago as a secretary, and my boss, whose bloodline is part of the oppressor's bloodline, and I walked into his office and I said, you know, I'm your worst nightmare. And he looked at me and he says, what do you mean? I said, look at the color of my skin. I'm a reminder of what your ancestors did. So as far as, I mean, I have never had a problem. I have had Europeans go out of their way for me. They've given me gifts. They treat me like a doll baby. You're so special, you know. And they open up their homes. I've been in many of their homes. I mean, whatever I desire, they're willing to do and get for me.
So, of your number of years, we won't say how many, but of your life's experience, what do you have to say to other sisters, light skin, dark skin, or in between?
Again, I go back to the mind. You know, mind is everything, okay? Knowing ourselves as divine soul, we don't know our divine history before evil history. And that is a part of our knowing ourselves as divine soul, is to know that if you know yourself, don't let someone else label you as being something else. You have to know the truth and reality about everything. You are you. Be you, no matter who does not accept you. And just realize that all this is part of a mental illness that we have when we are prejudiced and biased against that which we should not be.
So are you saying basically that the people who go to the store, or before they go to the store, they look in the mirror and they look at themselves and they don't look like this woman that everybody's saying is the number one look in the world, and then they go to the Korean store and they purchase some hair that's a completely different shade that they have, that the Creator gave them. They purchase eyelashes and all different types of makeup and skin lightening cream and everything to be somebody else. What are you saying about that person?
Okay. Again, this is all a self-hate, and it's also a mental illness. And mental illness doesn't just fall in one category. There's different definitions of a mental illness. To try to be somebody else that you are not is a mental illness, and it's self-hatred. Attitude plays a very important role in our lives. You know, if we have the right attitude, nothing else should affect us. And when we know what is and what is not, that's when we can determine that whatever happened does not affect us. I've been down that road with the wigs, the weaves, the eyelashes, the fake nail, the contact lenses, not the skin whitening, because I'm already one shade white from white, okay? So when we dib and dab in artificialities on the outside as well as the inside, there's something artificial inside of us that draws us to even, do that. My experience with all of that was to experience it. I said, okay, I'm going to experience this. Life is about experiencing. We don't experience everything because some things is very, very dangerous. And in this case with artificiality, that's a danger right there. It can become a drug, an addiction, to reach out to artificialities. I wanted to see what would happen to me if I had this beautiful wig or weave on, and how the males will see me and go through what the other females was going through, those who do that still, and watch their reaction. Do they see me as something more beautiful than who before the artificiality?
Now, when you say the wig, can you specify? Was this a blonde wig?
There was one that I tried. It wasn't blonde. It was a brownish, because my hair is normally black. It was a brownish mixture with, coloring highlights in it. And I only tried that for 2 weeks. And I remember my ex-husband had saw me in a situation, and he says, and by the way, you look beautiful. But I don't recall him saying that to me before all that artificialities was on me. I remember him saying many years ago that the reason why he lives is to serve me, because I'm a queen. But I had no artificialities on me. To me, that statement was more important than him saying to me, wow, you look beautiful.
So we all, brothers and sisters, we all buy into this concept that we see on television, the Beyonce look, and also she has, and we're talking about her because she's the epitome of glamour with the black man and the white man. I mean, she's the examples that you go to the store and say, give me one of them looks,
Yes.
So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, okay, we talk about an industry, an artificial industry that she's in, and like others are in. Money has a way of making people do anything. And in this case here, the more money they have, the contracts they've signed with this industry, maybe even they know different and better, but the money, that carrot when it's dangled before you, well, we want you to look this way, we want you to look that way. If you don't, then you won't succeed in their business. So money plays a very important role. I remember, was it Beyonce's sister or one of those sisters had decided to go natural?
Yeah, one of the Knowles. Matter of fact, she cut off all her hair. Yes.
And I read the comments from others who came so hard on her. Why did she do that? They were some females were angry for her doing that. And those are the ones that, had artificialities on them.
Yes.
Angry at her for going natural.
Well, let's also talk about and let the audience know you have locks. And why did you choose locks when you could have chosen to have the silky, flowing perm and look like a white girl?
Okay, I have tried almost every hairdo there is to be tried when it comes to the black woman. The perms, okay, the afro, the curls, jerry curls, okay. They're, the procedure and the money that it cost was a toll on me. And I said, I'm seeking a hairdo for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked into locks, I knew that they were natural. And the meaning of the locks, when I first began with the locks, I started out again with the afro so that, all the perm and everything could get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And for, some people probably can relate to this. I became more enlightened. It seemed like knowledge was coming into me like a rushing river, water. And I said, wow, this is great, because not only is it doing that, the locks are, to me, more easy to manage, even though you get it done by other people. But, you can style it in many different ways, but I like the divine meaning to the locks. If locks, freeing up the perm that I had in my head, where, energy, we everything is energy. And so with the locks, I felt so energized.
And talking just briefly about the perms, what are some of the things that you found out about that perm and what the damage that it does to your scalp, your head, and your brain?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that question, even though I have no proof on this. But this is one of the revelation I got about the perms. And there's no scientific proof to my knowledge of what I'm getting ready to share with you. But it came to me that over a period of time, when something is penetrating the scalp, my niece in New York had permed her hair red or something, some purple, and her mother called me and told me, said when she urinated, the dye that was in her hair was in her urine. Okay? So that's when I began to look into this more. And even though some people say the skull is so hard that this can't happen, but I'm convinced that over a period of time of years of permanent dyeing, that it does do something. It does get into the skull. And I'm thinking that a lot of the reason why our black women are not thinking, free critically thinking, okay, is because that dye and those perms have, over the years, have penetrated beneath their skull and may have caused them brain damage, a brain malfunction, an interference in their thinking, and that's why a lot of them are not free thinkers, because it's not natural up there no more. You got something that is preventing your thoughts from being freely thinking.
So instead of paying to so-called look better, you're actually paying to speed up your demise, your own demise.
Yes, definitely. The more natural that you are, remember everything is energy, and I find that the sun itself, when I became natural, that the sun is part of the strands of the hair, and that the sun, which we all need some of it, once it can reach our natural self, things change. For example, nail polish and fake nails. You see, in the cuticles, those nails need to be free because everything is energy. If we got something fake or phony or artificial covering of that natural,
They need the air.
yeah, it needs the air. It needs the air. It needs the energy from the sun. It needs that. And so we contaminate ourselves by putting on all those artificialities that prevents nature from actually being connected. That's why I'm talked about, being connected to nature.
Mm-hmm.
How can you be connected to nature when you have artificiality and things that are unnatural on and in your body?
Well, people have said that beauty or looks can be a blessing or a curse. And I know you have your own thoughts about that word blessing. But in terms of how everybody think of being blessed or being cursed, what would you have to say in terms of being light-skinned?
How is it an advantage to me?
Well, what are the two sides? What's the both parameters of it?
Okay, the disadvantage and an advantage.
Yes.
Okay. The advantage is that doors are not closed to me.
Mm-hmm.
And, for example, I can get into the evil oppressor doors, into their camp, and they can't mind and know what they're doing and what they're thinking. And see, and as an advantage, it's like the spook who sat by the door,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Because I can go into their camp mind and know what their thoughts are about us. I've had situations where my uncle, who almost passed for white, well, he passed for white when it was convenient for him, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he went into a tavern or bar back in South Carolina in the early 60s. And the whites there accepted him as white.
Mm-hmm.
And he told us, he said that when he was in that tavern, he heard one of the Europeans there said, black people are so dumb that they don't know how to be idiots. Now, why is that sticking with me after almost 35 years? So the advantage, I can get into places and get information as, it's like a spying kind of thing, so that I can go back and teach my people what is being said about us. Like the evil oppressor look at our people as animals with voices and subhumans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the advantage is I can get into places to get information and come back and share with our people what I have learned. The disadvantage is my own people ostracize me. Not all of them. They ostracize me because of my pigmentation. Not all, just a few. So that's it on that. I can't think of anything else right now.
Has there ever been situations where you met a brother that wanted to talk to you, but he kind of like shied back because he maybe felt that you would not correspond with him?
Yes, I have. There was another situation here where a brother who was raised in Chicago had told me that I would never talk to a light-skinned sister like you. And I had to share with him that that is wrong, because he said, as I said earlier, that his experience is that light-skinned females was uppity.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to share another situation. Back in, I think it was the 80s, I was at the Norfolk Airport coming back to New York, and there was this white guy sitting in the lobby with me, and we were both waiting. to board was a delay there. So I decided to take a walk outside on the grounds. And he followed me. And he was talking to me, and he was talking about black people and niggers and everything. And I'm saying to myself, whoa, this guy is standing next to me talking about my people. He, in his mind, because of how I look, I was not black. I mean, he was going off about that. And so I decided I was going to turn around and go back in. And this is a white guy. I've had white people who don't even think I'm white, black, who will have conversation like that.
What are some of the gross things that you've been told about our people, about black people, by some of those kind of people?
Oh, some of the gross things. I haven't heard any gross things about from white people.
Mm-hmm.
Just the terminology they use and how they use it. Like one white lady who's a seamstress here years ago, I tried to get her to make me some outfits, and I went to her apartment, and she was going off about black people. I can't remember exactly all the things she said, but I do remember what she said to me. She asked me, she said, "You're not one of them, are you?" Well, I didn't, continue to see her, and I didn't want her to make the clothes that I came there for her to make. So that's gross to me, asking me, I'm not one of them. Am I one of them?
And you also mentioned that you were a part of the military. So what was your experience like there? I know that must have been very, very uniquely different.
Oh, indeed. Okay, favoritism, was no problem. I mean, I have gotten favoritism from people who are KKKs in the military. One brother named Bailey, he was from Mobile, Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
He had an interest in me. And one day we were sitting in the mess hall, military cafeteria, and he expressed his interest in me. And he said to me, "Do you know if I took you back to Mobile, Alabama with me, they will kill me and you?" Now, I had another experience where one of the KKKs, and I know they are, because when you're in the military, you know who they are, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A Warrant Officer Newell, fun guy, the KKK. He gave me one of the highest awards in the military, for my job performance and everything else. So I have been such a get along with everybody person, and from all ages and children, that type of dichotomy. I can relate to everyone, and that's a good thing. So I didn't feel threatened by any of them in any way, not at all. And in the military, I had endured a lot of sexual harassment. I mean, now that was devastating, by both lesbians and males. And, I mean, I had one female that told me, she was a major in Belgium, always complimenting me on my butt. "You got the cutest little butt there is." Inviting me to her home. It's been a road. It's been a ride. But I enjoyed my military job, not the system itself. But I mean, people, males of all races, have approached me in one way or another.
Okay. Well, we want to conclude this conversation, but never actually conclude it. We want to put a pin in it, and you can always hit us up underneath this discussion with your comments, questions, and one final question to you, Isis, is what would you have to share with our young sisters of any complexion?
I say that we need to really collectively come together as some type of a setting and discuss these issues among ourselves. Issues such as why there's so many single black women, to find out the true answers as to why there are so many single black women, just our issues, period. We need to stop going to the European and exposing what's happening with us. We need to come together at some type of a setting to iron out all of these wrinkles and whatever that's going on in our lives. And until we come together and have a meeting of the mind about all things from A to Z, we're going to continue to be this way without having no real solutions, because we need to discuss the root causes of what's causing us our pain and suffering. We don't come together, then we won't know, and the next generations under us will suffer continuously because we haven't done anything in this time, this dispensation of time, to correct all the problems that we face. And I encourage the sisters also to definitely check out Brother Umar Johnson's videos, the one he talks about the post-traumatic slavery disorder, the black man's attraction for white women, love, lust, or legacy of self-hatred.
And that's UmarJohnson.com, UmarJohnson.com.
Okay, I do have one more thing to share, if you don't mind.
Yes, please.
Okay. If what goes around comes around, and if history repeats itself when it comes to these interracial relationships with white women, and back in the day when they used to do hangings, for black men, even so much as looking at a white woman, if what goes around comes around, and if history repeats itself, hanging might come back in and cleanse that type of relationship.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know if we want to end it on that note, because, wow, who would like to see hanging return?
Right.
But one of the things that I noticed Minister Farrakhan had to say about this mixing on his Savior's Day address this last 26th February, he said that basically the European, the white look, is dissipating, and within a few more years you might have a brown society. They call it the browning, and that is not something that would be looked upon as something that they would like to see.
Correct. I read an article where they're trying to create tan people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and how do you create tan people? It's just like colors. When you mix colors, you mix black paint with white paint, you get what? Gray?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and where they're trying to create tan people. And if you want to see tan people, all you have to do is look at interracial couples and their children.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to create a society filled with just tan people. Anything black, they want to wipe out completely. That's why they're having wars in the where they're having wars to wipe out anything that looks black.
Ethnic cleansing.
Yes.
Mm.
So yeah, you get your tan people from that mixing.
All right then. Well, there you have it, live and direct on WACP, the place to be, for we are creative people. And we've been talking with Queen Isis as Divine Sister Isis in the community of WACPtv.ning.com. Stay tuned.